everybody, and welcome to Faces and Heels, your podcast for professional wrestling here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and we are about to recap, we are about to react to WWE SummerSlam, which took place in Cleveland, Ohio. 7 matches, 6 championship matches, a couple of surprise returns, and overall a pretty decent pay-per-view. This wasn't a barn burner, to say the least. It was solid. This was a solid premium live event. I wasn't disappointed with it, but I guess nothing really surprised me because everything that happened pretty much happened. If everything that I thought was going to happen, it happened. Nothing shocked or surprised me in this premium live event. I only had one match wrong out of 7 matches in the prediction show. In all my predictions, I got one wrong, and it was, completely wrong. And not only the outcome, but on how good the match was. And it's a good, I actually feel good being wrong for once in my life. And hey, man, I'm so happy for the superstars involved in that match. And we'll get to that when we break all of these matches down. As I said, we had 7 matches. 6 of them were championship matches. And the 7th that wasn't a championship match was main event caliber. And so these were big matches on the card. I will say a couple of them were very disappointing. And I really don't know how to react to it. You know, I've been going over in my head ever since those matches took place. Like, man, I wish they were better. I wish they were better. Even though I knew the outcome, I knew, what was going to happen. I predicted it on the preview show. You can go back and listen to it. And that I knew that what the outcome was going to be. I just wanted a more exciting conclusion to that outcome, and I didn't quite get it. And it's an odd feeling because none of the matches were bad, and this wasn't a bad, like I said, this was a solid premium live event. All the matches were good, but were they SummerSlam good? Nah, there were maybe two that I would pick out to say that, oh man, they really came, they brought it in this match, the competitors in this match. But all the other matches I could have saw on Raw, SmackDown, and been just as satisfied. And I guess that's the little disappointing factor of it all. But we have 7 matches to go over, and let's not prolong the time. Let's jump right into it. Our first match that we're going to recap and review is the first match that was on the card tonight, and it was for the Women's World Championship, where the Women's World Champion, Liv Morgan, put that title on the line against Rhea Ripley, who came out with Dirty Dom Mysterio. And that was the X factor here. It was pretty much Dominic on a pole match from the early 2000s in WCW. And this was for control of Dominic. And look, I actually enjoyed the lead up to this match. All that has been laid out with the Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio kind of a secret love affair or whatever, and then the Rhea Ripley of it all coming back, not only to take her title back, but to take her man back. All that was good. I enjoyed it, but they telegraphed that so much. Everybody knew what was going to happen. This was one of the things where, like I said, you enjoyed this pay-per-view. If you were like me, you enjoyed it to see it play out, but you knew exactly what was going to happen, and that's exactly what happened. In this match was kind of weak. I thought it was going to be a little more brutal, but when you sit back and think about it, and you look at Rhea Ripley, and you know what type of wrestler Rhea Ripley is, what type of performer she is in the ring. Rhea Ripley can take on a male superstar and wipe the floor with him. I mean, she's a beast. She's a beast. And you look at Liv Morgan, who, I'm hot and cold with Liv Morgan. Sometimes I'm like, I really like her, and then sometimes I'm like, why is she this elevated on the card? Why is she a champion? She just never did nothing for me as far as being a performer in the ring. But she really since she's come back from her injury, just this year, on this little run that she's on, this little revenge tour that she's on, I've been enjoying her, and especially in this little storyline that involves Dominic and the Judgment Day and Rhea Ripley. I've enjoyed this little storyline with her. It's been exciting. She's been entertaining. I've really, her promo work has gotten better. Her ring performance has gotten better. But on her best day, she could not hold a candle to Rhea Ripley. And so they had to work an angle here with Rhea Ripley and the shoulder, and it's popping out of socket and all this here. All that was fine and good. Good storytelling, the Dominic of it all coming in, taking the chair from Rhea Ripley. And, at first he's like, no, you can't win the title like that. You can't win the title like that. Okay. So he's still on Rhea Ripley's side. So you think. But if you watch wrestling long enough, the turn is coming. And sure enough, he throws the chair in the ring, distracts the referee, and Liv Morgan was able to do her finishing move on Rhea Ripley onto the ladder, defeating Rhea Ripley and retaining her Women's World Championship. But that wasn't the end. As she's celebrating outside the ring, she being Liv Morgan, Dominic Mysterio plants a wet sloppy one on Liv Morgan in front of Rhea Ripley, causing her to lose her mind inside of the ring. If she needs a shoulder to cry on, I'm here for her. But that was a very, very predictable turn to happen. But it was good to see it play out on screen. It was entertaining. It was an entertaining match. Wasn't an exciting match. They didn't do anything to move the needle for me, but overall it was decent. And out of 4 stars, I give the Women's World Championship match, where we saw Liv Morgan retain that championship by defeating Rhea Ripley with the help of Dirty Dom, I give it 2.25 stars. It was slightly above average. I thought it was, all right. I could have watched this on Raw and been just as happy. But it wasn't the worst match of the night. I gotta give that, unfortunately, to the second match on the card, and I thought this was going to be better. Honest to God, I thought this was going to be somewhat of a banger. Not show stealing. I didn't expect it to be the match of the night, but I did expect it to have a little more. I don't know. It just felt bleh. Just pre-show level. Not even pre-show level. It's like a dark match level. Anywho, this is the singles match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, where Sami Zayn put his championship on the line against Braun Breaker in their second match. They just went at it at the previous Premium Live event, Money in the Bank, where Sami Zayn defeated Braun Breaker in a pretty decent match. It was better than this one, that's for certain. But I think they should have pulled the trigger in that match, because this match did absolutely nothing for me. It was short. It was weak. It was like, it was definitely the shortest match of the night. It was 5 minutes long. 5 minutes. It was so weak. Look, if they were going to do a squash match, fine. but it wasn't a squash. It was actually a back and forth, but it was cut. I guess it was cut for time or whatever, because we have matches coming up on this card that was 30 minutes. I know the main event was 30 minutes. They had a 17-minute match. I think they had two 17-minute matches. And, even some of those felt short, but it was longer. But 5 minutes? I mean, the Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan match was 16 minutes. And so I don't understand why this match was so short. Because I think at Money in the Bank, they had a pretty long match. I think it was about 10, 20, not 20, but 12 minutes long. I don't know what happened here. Honestly, I'm so confused, but whatever. To summarize it, it was boring. It was a waste of time. Their commercial breaks were longer. The commercial breaks, if you watch it on Peacock, they were longer than this match. The singles match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship, Braun Breaker defeats Sami Zayn to become the new Intercontinental Champion. This match was, so disappointing. Even though I predicted Braun Breaker to go over here, it still just didn't do anything for me. I was so unentertained. I was mad with myself because this could have been the bathroom break match. I was predicting another match that was coming up on the card to go to the bathroom, and I was solely wrong. I was wrong. I should have went in this one. This was a complete waste of time. This match gets 1.5 stars, and that's pretty high in my mind. I feel like I'm cheating there, because the only reason I'm giving it 1.5 is because Braun Breaker went over, because he needs a belt. He really does. Sami Zayn doesn't need a belt. He don't. He's over. Braun Breaker, he's young. They're trying to build him up. Put the scrap on him. Put it on him now. Strap the rocket to his back. Let's see what he does with this run. We move on. We move on to another championship match, this time for the United States Championship, where Logan Paul puts that championship on the line against L.A. Knight. Yeah, and this was a shocker. This match actually got off. This was a banger. And I shouldn't have been so shocked by the level of performance by L.A. Knight and Logan Paul. These are two awesome performers in the ring. I know Logan Paul has his issues, personally outside of WWE. His views on certain things rub people the wrong way. I'm not the biggest fan of his outside of the ring, but I do enjoy him inside of the ring. He knows what he's doing. He really does commit. He really does put in the work. It feels like I say this every premium live event when it comes to Logan Paul. The dude is phenomenal inside of the ring. Can't stand him outside of the ring. But inside the ring, the dude is amazing. And this match with L.A. Knight, I've said in the past, they should have been put something on L.A. Knight. I don't care if it was the United States Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, hey, a tag team champion. I don't care. They needed to put something around his waist. This dude is mega over. But I was a little worried going into this match. I had predicted L.A. Knight to win this match, but I was a little skeptical because of the clash of styles in the ring. Logan Paul is more of a high flyer and whatnot. I would say L.A. Knight is more of a grappler. He's more of a ground and pound guy. He's older. But that doesn't mean anything because he still moves good. The dude is in phenomenal shape. L.A. Knight is phenomenal because L.A. Knight is around my age and I'm old. So he is, and I can't do half the stuff he do. I certainly don't look the way he do, but he is, he's in phenomenal shape. But hey, man, he made it work. And L.A. Knight, if you think back, shouldn't shock me because if you think back with the late great Bray Wyatt, that first match that Bray Wyatt had after his return, which was actually his only match, if I'm not mistaken, before he tragically passed away. That match, LA Knight made that match work. As weird and kooky and out of the box that it was, LA Knight made it work. He makes every match work. The guy knows what he's doing, and he made it work tonight against Logan Paul. Really good match. Awesome match. Up to this point, it was the match of the night, which wasn't a high bar to clear, but these two really did a phenomenal job in the ring, even outside the ring. A lot of moves outside of the ring, top rope spots, interference with Machine Gun Kelly, which is random, but whatever. But at the end, LA Knight is your new WWE United States champion. Yeah. And so I am super excited by that. This is awesome. And it was an awesome match. I give this match 3.5 stars. It was a phenomenal match. I really was on the edge of my seat through it. I was at no point during this match was I bored. No point during this match did it ever slow down. And this was like a 12-minute match, and they were going at it. I mean, from the it wasn't even the opening bell. They didn't even start. They were still fighting in their entrance gear, and so it was phenomenal. I really did enjoy that match, but I enjoy the fact that LA Knight is the new WWE United States champion. And so we move on to the match that I thought was going to be the worst match of the night. It turned out to be one of the best matches of the night, and it was the singles match for the WWE Women's Championship. Bayley, our champion, defends that championship against Nia Jax. And say what you will about Nia Jax. Her first run when she was botching in every match, hurting everybody in every match that she had, ultimately being let go by the company and all this other foolishness behind it, and up to her return, when she returned and just got better. She wasn't hurting people. Her moveset improved. The way she worked in the ring improved. Her mic work improved. Everything improved. And it really didn't dawn on me until a couple of weeks ago, I think it was, on SmackDown, when I was like, man, Nia Jax really has put in the work. But I didn't think it was her time. I had predicted Bayley to retain the WWE Women's Championship in this match, and I was wrong. This was the one that I was wrong. And I'm happy to be wrong here. Honestly, I'm so happy for Nia Jax. This one here, she really earned it. This is her second championship. I actually witnessed in person her first championship win at WrestleMania here in New Orleans, when she defeated Alexa Bliss, and that match was so dull. I was so underwhelmed by that match at WrestleMania, and the crowd was dead. We was in there, we was quiet as a church mouse because it was just a dull match, and that was during her first run, so it just didn't have the effect. But I wish I was there for this one, because this one, they went at it. Bayley showed that she's a beast. Bayley showed that she's the GOAT. And I push back from that because, you see that on Twitter for, about a year or so. Everybody's calling Bayley the GOAT, female wrestler, the greatest of all time, and all this here. And as much as a huge fan that I am of Bayley, I never considered her the GOAT, and I'm talking huge. I'm going all the way back to Hugger Bayley in NXT. I've always followed her, but I never really pictured her as the GOAT until you really sit down and, rank all the female wrestlers throughout time, and you can't help but to say she's the GOAT. I'm in agreement with everybody. I really, you know, I'm here. I'm there for it, and she showed it tonight, going up against Nia Jax. I thought this was going to be a sloppy match because of the Nia Jax factor, but it wasn't. It really wasn't. The powerbomb spot with Bayley powerbombed Nia Jax. Oh my god. Oh my god. I jumped out of my chair. I jumped out of my chair. I was like, my god, she did it. Not only did she powerbomb, but she picked her up and walked her across the ring and then powerbombed her. Fire. Fire. Tiffany Stratton getting involved just to be a distraction, and Bayley kicking out of the whatever that is. What's that move that Nia Jax do? Her finisher when she sits on your chest. She kicked out of that. Nobody's kicked out of that, but she kicked out of the first one, but the second one couldn't, and I understand. But that was the end of that, and we saw Nia Jax become the WWE Women's Champion. Fun match, entertaining, and it told a story. That's all you want out of a match, and you got it in this one. I give Nia Jax becoming the new WWE Women's Champion by defeating Bayley 3.25 stars. Very, very good match. Very good match. Surprisingly good. I mean, shockingly good. I thought it was going to be average, leading up to it, but hey, they shocked me. Good job by Bayley and Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton for joining the fray in this match. Our next match on the card, which is the only match that wasn't that didn't have a championship involved, and that was the grudge match, if you will, between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, with Seth freaking Rollins as the special guest referee. This match, it was my most anticipated match on the card. I really was hoping it was the main event, but it wasn't. But it didn't need to be the last match of the night to be the main event for me. It was truly my most anticipated match of the night, and it didn't disappoint. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. CM Punk calls himself the best in the world for a reason, and he is. He is in certain areas of pro wrestling. He is. Drew McIntyre has, I wouldn't put him in the best of the world category, but he has stepped his game up just to 18 different levels. He is so good right now. He is the one man in pro wrestling. I don't care if it's WWE, AEW, TNA, whatever promotion is out there. He is the one man who does not need a belt. He doesn't need a belt at all. I know we throw it out there all the time when you have a real good talent that is super over, and he doesn't need a belt, a championship to draw. And that's true in some instance. But when it comes to Drew McIntyre, putting the belt on Drew McIntyre would hurt him more than it would help him, if that makes any sense. That would drag him down, because now he's not, handcuffed to a championship. He's free to wreak as much havoc as he cares to do. He is so good in this role. This feud with CM Punk was the greatest thing that happened to Drew McIntyre since winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania during the pandemic. He is so over. He is so dialed in to this feud. The trolling online, his promos, everything has been top notch. And CM Punk, like I said, love him or hate him, he's a master promo artist, man. I mean, you put a microphone in his hand, God help us all. He is the best in the world at promos right now. I love CM Punk for that. And then you sprinkle in a little Seth freaking Rollins into the fray. You got yourself a combustible situation. And this is what we had here. This match, once again, a little skeptical for the sense of CM Punk. CM Punk gets hurt, you know, stepping out of a car lately. He's to that age now. He's like me. Yeah. You stump your toe and you got to get a cast for 6 months. That's where he's at. And, his run in AEW, it seemed like every match he got hurt. Every match he got hurt. He'll get hurt, go have surgery, rehab, come back, get hurt, go home, get rehab. He leaves AEW and comes to WWE his first time in the ring at the Royal Rumble, gets hurt. And goes, has surgery, gets in rehab. This is his first singles match in WWE in 10 years. And I was so scared. I would say 2 minutes into the match, he's breathing out of his mouth and everything. I'm like, oh man, he's getting up there now. He looks phenomenal. He's in phenomenal shape as far as his build, but he looked a little winded as this match drug on. This match was 17 minutes, and I would say 5 to 6 minutes in, he looked a little spent, and they kind of slowed the match down. This was a good little paced out match. It wasn't, like the what match I can use, the LA Knight and Logan Paul match where it was just pedal to the metal the whole time. This was more of a marathon as opposed to a sprint, and that's good because they were telling a story, and it was so perfectly told. They did have a couple of botches in there. I think they messed up something like towards the end, not at the end, but towards the end with Seth Rollins. It was like they were waiting on this certain move, and Rollins' little equipment or something, his little camera, the little cameras they had for the refs in these matches, even though they never used, I think they only used them twice, that they did the referee cam that's on the side of the ear, because it's a dumb idea. I don't know why they want to put cameras there. But anywho, that messed up, so he was taking it off. So they had to wait for him to take off all that stuff. And I'm like, what? Like, come on, let's get it going now. Because the match was starting to pick up at that point, and it was just a dead stop at that moment. And you couldn't help but notice, like, oh, come on, man. You're messing up the flow here. But this was good. This was great storytelling. Perfect storytelling, despite the little botches, despite the little physical aspects of it that, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre styles kind of clashed at moments. But other than that, this was great storytelling. I enjoyed it for that aspect. I had picked Drew McIntyre to go over in my prediction show, because the reason I said that, because Drew McIntyre needed that win in this feud, because CM Punk has gotten the better of him throughout this whole feud. Drew McIntyre never got a win, other than the fact when he attacked him backstage and stole the bracelet. That was it. But as far as in-ring action, CM Punk has gotten him. Costing him the championship on 2 separate occasions and a couple of other matches as well. So Drew McIntyre needed to beat him in the ring, and ultimately he did. Drew McIntyre wins this match. Seth Rollins getting involved in this match, I was a little worried about that. How much he was going to be involved, interjecting himself in this feud. But I think they did it right. It wasn't too much. It was just the right amount of Seth Rollins. It wasn't too much and it wasn't too little. It was the exact amount of Seth Rollins. And hey, I enjoyed the match. Thought it was one of the better matches of the night. Drew McIntyre defeating CM Punk with Seth Rollins as the special guest referee gets 3.5 stars out of 4. I thought the storytelling here was the best storytelling of the night overall. That spoiler alert, there's no other match on this card that told a story better than that match. We move on to our World Heavyweight Championship match, where the champion, Damian Priest, will defend that championship against the King of the Ring, Gunther. And I had predicted Gunther going over in this match in my prediction show. I felt that this was going to be one of the bangers of the night. And I can honestly say that I was a tad bit disappointed. My expectations were a little too high. The match was decent. I wasn't, like, oh man, this was horrible. I didn't think this was a horrible match. I think I set myself up for, failure by putting these expectations on it, because it really was kind of bland. Like I said, this could have been a match on Raw and I would have been just as satisfied. And this was just whatever. The main thing to come out of this was the implosion of Judgment Day. That this was the final death knell in that fraction when Finn Balor came out and turned his back on Damian Priest by helping Gunther to win, putting Gunther's foot on the rope after Damian Priest had Gunther pretty much in a pinning predicament. And look, I like Damian Priest, but it's becoming pretty clear to me that, these little botches that happen in the matches, they come in fast and furious with my guy. And, it's like I said, I like him. I like him a lot. And I'm so happy that he was the champion. But it was like, man, it's these matches, it's like silly stuff that happens that it's just noticeable. Every match has a botch. There's no such thing as a perfect match. Well, there were. You can probably look them up, but they're so few and far between. Every match you can critique, you can dissect, and look at this here. They didn't do this right, or whatever. That punch didn't land here, or whatever. There's that in every single match. But it seems like when Damian Priest does it, it's like a spotlight is on it for some strange reason. And in this match, when he hit the South of Heaven and Gunther kind of rolled. Now, I'm not going to put it all on Damian Priest. I think it was the way Gunther rolled. He was like rolling awkwardly, and Damian Priest pushed him towards the ropes, made it so obvious what they were about to do. And it kind of took me out of the match. But regardless, it was an all right match. I came here to see the turn, and I knew the turn was happening. When the turn did happen with Finn Balor, now Damian Priest's reaction was perfect. I loved it. He wanted to kill Finn Balor, and I was like, oh, man, is this real? The way his reaction was, I was all in on that. But besides that, the match was pretty meh. But ultimately, Gunther defeats Damian Priest to become the new World Heavyweight Champion with a little help from Finn Balor, which is pretty much the end of Judgment Day. I give this match 2 3/4 stars. It was all right. It was an all right match. Uh, I've seen worse. They had worse on this card, so it definitely wasn't the worst match of the night, but it was far from the best. And so that leads us to our main event of the evening, and it was a Bloodline Rules match for the undisputed WWE Championship. Before we get into this match, uh, I don't understand why this was a Blood Rules match. Well, let me take that back. It's not that I don't understand this was a Blood Rules match. I don't understand why Cody Rhodes wanted it to be a Blood Rules match. Shouldn't the Bloodline rules, I should say. Shouldn't the Bloodline rules be implemented by the Bloodline? It just didn't make sense to me. But whatever, here we are, and that pretty much let you know everything you needed to know of what was going to happen in this match, and that's exactly what happened. At least it did to me. There were no surprises, despite the fact that there was a quote unquote surprise return at the end. But once you said Bloodline rules, I knew who was coming back. And he did come back. This match saw our champion Cody Rhodes defending the undisputed WWE Championship against the quote unquote tribal chief, Solo Sikoa, in a Bloodline Rules match. This match I wasn't looking forward to either, as far as these two linking up, because I thought it was too early for Solo. Solo is not quite there yet, at least that was my feelings going into this match. He wasn't quite there. I still feel that way now after seeing the match, but he's getting there. This was a good match. He had a good match. This match was really good until all the shenanigans happened. Once all the shenanigans happened, it got kind of, the typical Bloodline stuff. But I thought Solo held his own against Cody. I liked the pace of it. They were going back and forth. The reversals, the kickouts, the near falls. It was looking good. Then the Bloodline got involved. Okay, that was to be expected. And then Kevin Owens returns. RKO returns, and help me out here. I'm not feeling the Tongas. Now, Jacob Fatu, that's separate. I'm talking about the Tongas. They're just cannon fire. They're just there to take RKOs and stunners. They always getting beat up. Every time they just dare to take the finishers. They're no threat. Now, Jacob Fatu, on the other hand, that's a threat. Jacob Fatu is something to worry about. He is a monster. And when he entered into this conflict, that's when business picked up. I can't wait to see what happens going forward with this, I guess, splitting of the Bloodline. I don't know. It looks like it might be one, because towards the end of this match, we got the return of the original tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And oh my God, what a pop he got. I was like, here we go. But the big question is, who is he going after? Is he going after the man that took the title from him at WrestleMania, him being Cody Rhodes? Or is he going to go after Solo Sikoa, who has called him soft and proclaimed to be the real tribal chief and all this other stuff behind his back, who jettisoned Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman out of the Bloodline, and who he's going after here? But is blood thicker than water? I guess that's the real question. Well, it was answered pretty quick when Roman Reigns entered the ring and gave Solo Sikoa a Superman punch to remember, and then put an exclamation point of a spear onto him as well, and left out of the ring, leaving Cody to hit Solo with the crossroads for the 1, 2, 3. That was an exciting finish to this match that wasn't super exciting, but I am curious going forward. What's next for the Bloodline? The Bloodline needed something to happen. They needed something new to happen. The writing was on the wall. Roman Reigns was coming back. I know there's some questions. Is he coming back too soon? Maybe they should have waited till WrestleMania or whatever. I don't, or the Royal Rumble. I don't know. I don't know if it was too soon, because I know it feels like WrestleMania just happened, which I guess it did. When was it? April. So what? 4 months since he's been gone. Uh, Maybe too soon. I don't know, but I'm happy he's back, because the Bloodline thing, they went as far as they can go with the Solo. Solo was holding it down. I give all respect to Solo. Solo did a marvelous job. I didn't think he was going to do this great of a job, holding down the fork, if you will, since Roman's absence. But yeah, I think he has taken it as far as they can go with it. And so it's now time for the big dog to come back. But another issue I have here is Cody Rhodes. How long is Cody Rhodes in the Bloodline thing? How long are we going to drag this out? Is he only going to fight the Bloodline? If that's the case, he needs to drop the belt to somebody else, because the belt shouldn't even be involved with all this. They shouldn't have to have a feud going on between Cody Rhodes and the Bloodline that involves the undisputed heavyweight champ. Well, not the heavyweight, but the WWE championship, because what is everybody else doing? Everybody else is just stuck in time here. You know, they got the mid card belts. Yeah, you got the Intercontinental, the United States, and all this here. You can run over to Raw and challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship, but everybody wants to be at the top of the mountain. You know, everybody wants to challenge for that undisputed WWE Championship, and it's stuck in this Bloodline feud, and it's technically been stuck in the Bloodline for about 3 years or 4 years. And so it's out of the Bloodline, but it's still in the Bloodline. If you want to be honest with you, it's just weird. They need to give Cody another challenger. They really do. It's somebody outside of this Bloodline mess, you know, because I think if you can't tell, I think I've reached the end of this of this feud, but you can clearly see at the final shot of this premium live event that this isn't over with Cody Rhodes, because you have Cody Rhodes and Roman staring at each other. You know, Roman gonna want his belt back. You know, he's gonna want that rubber match, the third match in this trilogy. So when are we gonna get that? Is it gonna be at Bad Blood, which is perfectly named for some strange reason? So we'll see. But as far as SummerSlam is concerned, it was a solid premium live event. It wasn't the greatest. I was expecting it pretty. Well, I was expecting something better. I really was. I was expecting a better showing at this premium live event, and I didn't quite get it. But I was entertained. There weren't any bad matches, with the exception of the Intercontinental Championship match, which I wouldn't say was bad. It was just pointless. It was just a way to give Braun Breaker the title. They should have just handed it over to him, and I would have been like, okay, cool. I would have had the same reaction than watching that. So whatever. But everything else was decent. A couple of matches in there were phenomenal. The other ones were average. Overall, I give SummerSlam 2 2/3 stars. I think it was a solid, average, premium live event. But that's my humble opinion. I would like to know your humble opinion, which one was your favorite match of the night? Which championship are you shocked changed hands tonight? Which ones do you feel probably should have changed hands tonight? And who do you think should be Cody Rhodes' next opponent? I would love to know. You can email the show at kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for this show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget to subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel on YouTube and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to Faces and Heels here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this recap of WWE SummerSlam. The next premium live event will be, about 3 weeks away. They're not playing around in the WWE. Bash in Berlin, I think is the name of it. I think that's at the end of the month. So no rest for the weary, which is another reason why I figured Gunther will win the championship, but that's neither here nor there. But any event, everybody enjoy Raw, enjoy SmackDown, enjoy NXT. I can't wait to speak to you for our next premium live event. Until then, y'all be good, and I'll talk to you on the other side. Peace.